That's right, I did come indeed to play. It is I, Brett, host of the FTFL Weekly Update and owner of the current North Division first place leaders, Hulkamaniacs. Welcome to the FTFL Weekly Update. It is Week 3. Well, it's Week 3 of the show, but Week 3 in the NFL is in the books. And now we're starting to see a little bit of separation. I thought a lot about this weekend. And man, Week 3 is a big one. Nobody comes out of Week 3 at 500. You either are below or you are above. And even after 3 weeks, that is a huge distinction going forward over the next 10 weeks of the regular season. Now, of course, it is Week 3 in the books. It is separation week. Oddly enough, though, the games this week were closer than ever. 4 of the 5 games were less than 10 points deciding the outcome. The only one that was an absolute blowout involved the preseason favorite, best chance to make the playoffs, Bazinga, who have yet to notch a mark in the win column here in 2017. Wow. More on that later. Also, hopefully today we're going to get to the bottom. Is Jimmy Graham indeed a 2-bit loser? Results this week might suggest otherwise, and of course there's always the magic 8 ball that we can ask when we get ourselves in a bind. Lastly, fan mail. Yeah, it's been pouring in. I have picked my favorite I will read tonight. I think very, very topic friendly as far as what I've already kind of hinted at. Great that stuff's coming in. Keep it coming in. I will read some of it over the next few weeks, and on to the games we go. Game number 1 was the game of the week. The 2 undefeated teams left. Pack Attack at 2-0, taking on Cramerica at 2-0. 2.5 points was all the difference in this game, but the right Jimmy would have made all the difference in the world. 91 to 88.5, and this one came all the way down to Monday Night Football, and Sid came this close, but in the end, he fell short. Now, Tom Brady, holy moly, entered buzzsaw territory, 46 points. Now, he was going up against the originator of the buzzsaw, Drew Brees, who threw 26 of his own on the board. But after 46 from Brady, there wasn't a lot to speak of on Sid's team. Sure, Devontae Parker threw in 14, but his lone keeper, Terrell Pryor, just 1. CJ, the newly acquired running back, Anderson, got 3. And Jason Witten, the guy that he really felt was his guy going forward, half a point. Half a point. Now, I'd like to think that Jimmy Graham might have been better in that situation. Now, I know, but I'm not going to share that at this current moment in time. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Now, besides Drew Brees in the 26, Doug Baldwin put up 17. The Gronk threw up 14. Both of those guys came out of that game and are now on the respective injury reports. We'll see going forward. Now, last week, Eric, I gave you a hard time about Martavis Bryant sitting on the bench and Larry Fitzgerald playing in the lineup, so you switched them, and then it was kind of the same result. This week, Martavis Bryant in the lineup, 3 points. Larry Fitzgerald on the bench, 20.5. That didn't matter because you won. What also didn't matter is J.J.'s just single point being the first pick in all of the FTFL draft in 2017. I'd like to think you're hoping for more than that from him on a week-to-week basis. Nonetheless, you move on to 3-0. Sid, lastly, could have interchanged any of your wide receivers and tight ends with people in your starting lineup, and you also would have won. But you didn't. 2-1 is your current record, and on we go. Next up, the Hulkamaniacs at 1-1, taking on the Mana, 3-time champ Mana. 1-1, similar records, man. The score was tight. It came down to Sunday night, and Brett's team prevailed by 5 points, 102 to 97. 4 of my players were over 17 points. That included Rodgers, Carlos Hyde, Chris Thompson, who I had just picked up this week. Another dollar well spent for the Hulkamaniacs, is making hay when it comes to free agents. I mean, the Baltimore defense, 41 points over the first 2 weeks. Of course, this week, by the way, yeah. Who saw that coming? You take a trip to London, you play an early game, the time changes completely off, and then you let the Jaguars hang 44 points on you. Thank goodness it didn't matter because, boy, that's dud of the week material right there. Also, AJ Green, 17. I knew you had it in you, buddy. I just kind of poked you a little in the chest, and you responded. Welcome back. I'm looking forward to more stuff like that. If you're Markser, on the flip side, a guy I guess that I kind of poked in the chest of his team, T.Y. Hilton. I said in that trade, you gave up Brown, you got Hilton. Who wants T.Y.? I don't have a quarterback right now. Hilton, I guess Jacoby Brissett is good enough because 23.5 points later, Markser found himself in this game. Leonard Fournette, 11.5. Very, very consistent start to his young NFL career. Late in the afternoon, I was super upset that Markser's kicker had put up 20 points. 20! Almost. It's like 2.5 times. That is actually using my Browerville math. 2.5 times the amount of points that Cam Newton put up. 8 points. I know Markser hit the waiver wire, went after 2 other quarterbacks trying to rectify the situation. Not a lot of help on the bench either. 12.5 points this week. Wouldn't have made up the difference really any which spot, so he falls to 1 and 2. Now Markser, 97 points. And a loss. It is not often you score 90 points in this league and you lose. This week it happened twice. That's right, because John Linkowitz put 94 on the board, but it wasn't enough against the people of Middle Spunk Creek, who came out this week with 102.5. Since the trade, they've had consecutive 100-plus point weeks. Everything is going their way. Everything is looking great. Now, yes, no first, no second, no third, but it is definitely about the now. Now, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to look right at the camera. I'm going to tell you, Adam Swart. We talked about this after the trade. The precedent is set. There's a name on this seat because they did exactly what you did. And on this table going forward, there will be a Sharpie. And if we reach the end of the season, we are in the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs and you lose, you don't win, here, live on the show, I will write your name on the toilet seat without even taking a vote. Because that's what has to happen when you gamble and when you lose. For now, everything seems to be looking okay. Of course, let's be honest, it's the Kareem Akazi all day. 22.5 points. This season, Kareem Hunt has 86.5 points on the season. I mean, a good running back is going to net you 180 to 220 on the year. He's a third of the way there, 3 games in. Dalvin Cook, 18.5. Another young, good running back. I mean, Swart's team with that, those two going is going to be formidable. David Carr, he survived this week, only getting 8 points from him. Antonio Brown. Oh, that's right. Remember, he has Antonio Brown too. He put up 17, which could be a every week number for Antonio Brown. If he's coming in 15 to 20 every week, Swart's team is going to be tough to beat. Now, John's team, again, 94 points in a loss, put up a heck of a fight. Todd Gurley already, hands down, comeback player 2017. 28.5 points. Holy cow. I mean, that dude is all in rookie form. Last year we have completely forgotten about last year. Also, 20.5 from OBJ. I've said it on this show before, and I'm going to say it again. Odell Beckham Jr., you whine and you cry and you moan and you just sit there and you complain about, no one respects me. I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people don't want to give you that? Oh, could it be because you're just an idiot who does stupid things on the field and can't just go out and play football? It's one thing to celebrate. It's a complete other to be an idiot. And you, Odell Beckham Jr., are an idiot. An idiot on John's team who scored a lot of points. Jameis Winston threw an 18. Deshaun, I only score a touchdown every 5 weeks. Jackson, so you got one, John. Better rest him for a few weeks. Threw in 12, so a lot of good stuff there. The bad was Mike Gillislee and Marshawn Lynch. Beast mode turned least mode to combined 2.5 points. It's not going to get it done. Exchange your quarterbacks, you win. Exchange your tight ends, you win. Had all sorts of opportunities, 94 points to get it down, but it didn't, so you fall to 1 and 2. Now, we're going to take a break for the games, and we are going to get to the fan mail. Now, lots of fan mail coming in. I pulled this one out. I really thought it was great and super pertained to what I wanted to discuss a little bit this week. I'm going to go ahead and read. Here we go. It says, hey, Brett, love the new production you have going on in Season 2. Thank you very much. We have spared no expense. Well, a little, it was next to nothing. But I'm glad you noticed, and thanks for mentioning it. It says, my question for you, Brett, is that after week 3, we see the top-rated Bazinga, who, again, preseason coming in, was by far and away the clear-cut favorite, best team on paper. They're 0-3. We see the Kramerica Industries winning despite really not having any keeper for next year on their current roster, and 2 blockbuster trades that went down that for at least a couple weeks have drastically changed the outlook for those 2 franchises. So I want to know, Brett, what is your take on the odds of each team making the playoffs and possibly going to the finals? Now, keep up the good work. If you need a key grip or best boy on set, I'm available. Kareem Hunt Sr., Toledo, Ohio. Kareem Hunt. You know what, Kareem Hunt, thank you very much for watching the show. Thanks for the mail. I look at it this way. When I ran through all of those things weeks ago, there were 4 teams that weren't going to make the playoffs based off what their roster looked like on paper. They were Linkowitz, Ryan Deesum, and his titties and balls. Matt, the Architect, and the Hulkamaniacs. 3 of those teams right now, if the playoffs were today, would be in. It would be the people of Middle Spunk Creek and the Hulkamaniacs from the north. It'd be Pack Attack, Kramerica, the Architect, and the aforementioned T&B. The rest would be out. There are people here in this list. Radioactive Monkeys, number 6. You don't even have a win yet. Oh, look, Adam Swart, you're in. Markser, 1 and 2. Since the David Johnson injury that you were not worried about, now your team has looked good, but you still lost. You're not in. Hagen, again, great job, Pack Attack. But then, of course, top of the list, Andy at 0 and 3. Here's why this matters already after week 3. The magic number in this league is 7. If you get to 7 wins, you're going to the playoffs. That's just how it is. Maybe 6. We've seen a couple historically get in at 6, but it's 7. Those of us that are in the playoffs have 2 or 3 victories already, meaning for the rest of the season, we could play 500 football and still get in. Those of you that are 1 and 2, you've got to play a couple games above 5. You're 0 and 3, you've got to then play even better. You've got to win 7 of the next 10 to guarantee your spot. It becomes an uphill climb very, very quickly in this league. Again, on paper, sometimes you see injuries. Andy's dealt with a lot of injuries, but still has some things that, he should be better. Markster's had a couple fluky games. And so things happen. But that's fantasy football. You can talk about luck all you want. Sorry, scratch that. We did that last year. You can talk about skill all you want, but it really does come down to luck. As far as Kramerica, you talk about going to next year. Yeah, Tom Brady is a great player. I'm guessing he's playing next year. Do you keep Tom Brady? I don't know. And there's a lot of other guys on that list that are maybes. But let's be honest. You yourself should know all too well. Well, I shouldn't say you because this is Kareem Hunt Sr. Adam Swart should also know all too well that he's in it for the now too. Next year, you could be on there if things don't go well. We play for the now. We don't play for the next year. Thanks again, Kareem Hunt Sr. out of Toledo, Ohio. Keep on watching the show. And send your mail to the FTFL inbox, and we'll get to it if we get a chance. We'll read some more. Up next, everybody's favorite new segment this year, Ask the Magic 8 Ball. Now, last week, we talked about Swart regretting giving up those picks. That's we'll have to wait and see issue. Talked about Markster hitting the panic button a little too early, trading away Antonio Brown. Another loss gets us a little bit closer to seeing that just maybe that was the case. And of course, then we also saw the age-old mystery: was it the computer's fault? And yes, indeed, it was. This week, I'm going to be very specific with this upcoming week, and we're going to get to it right now. Magic 8 Ball, are you ready? All right, here we go. First question. Does Markster's slide come to an end this week? Does the 2-game losing streak end? And it says, my reply is no. Probably not what you wanted to hear. I'm sorry, but the Magic 8 Ball has spoken. Question number 2. Is this the week that Andy gets off the schneid? Does he get win number 1? Here we go. Bazinga, better not tell you now. It wasn't a no. I mean, I guess, again, maybe if we add... I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so, well, you just have to go without knowing. Best of luck, Andy. And lastly, this is one I've lost sleep over. I'm going to be super honest. Is Jimmy Graham a 2-bit loser? The world waits your answer. And it says, as I wait, outlook, not so good. Again, that wasn't a perfect answer. I'm not entirely sure. I guess maybe we're going to have to go with stats on that one, which I've got, and we're going to get to very, very soon. But first, we've got to get back to the games, and the next game on the list is one of those winless teams, the Radioactive Monkeys at 0-2, taking on Ryan Deesum's very, very large titties and balls. Well, one, maybe not the other. 1-1. He comes out of the 69.5 to Radioactive Monkeys 60.5, 9-point differential. Now, if you're salty, Matt Ryan threw up 20, Michael Thomas threw up 13.5, but on the flip side, Dak Prescott threw up 24, Jordy Nelson added 17. Both of those got beat out. There's pretty much your difference because both of these guys had 5 players who combined for 9 to 9.5 points. That's it. And so in the grand scheme of things, half your team was playing, which is why you kind of made it to about the halfway point, a little more than to 100. Oddly enough, now earlier this season, Adam Saltmarsh had a little bit of a snafu with a lineup, and we were kind of right back at there again. Sammy Watkins on the bench with 21 points. Funny. You lost by 9. My Browerville math tells me that 21 is greater than 9. That's win number 2 that you should have had. That's fantasy football. Last game of the week, another one of those winless teams. Team Bazinga taking on the Architect, 0-2 versus 1-1, and it wasn't even close. A 57-point differential, 100.5 points to 43.5 points. Man, the Architect, everything was going in his direction this week. 6 players in double digits. Stephon Diggs got 30 points. Now, Stephon Diggs benefited from Case Keenum's career day. A couple weeks ago, Adam Thielen benefited from Sam Bradford's career day. Not every week does a quarterback have a career game, Vikings fans. Why don't you temper the excitement just a tad? Although, be excited, Dalvin Cook is going to make your team and keep your team relevant. But Stephon Diggs won't hit 30 every week, but what a week he had. Here's the part where Matt's team is now back to where I would expect it to be. Ezekiel Elliott and Devontae Freeman combined for 29 points. Throw in DeMarco Murray on the bench, 18.5. We're at 47.5 points for those 3 guys. That's scary stuff. Those 3 running backs. No, you didn't play Murray because all week long you pretty much said he wasn't going to play. And I started Derrick Henry for the first time ever on the Hulkamaniac team because it looked like Derrick Henry wasn't going to, DeMarco Murray wasn't going to play. Yeah, well, the injury report, ever since we got rid of the probable category, makes everything just a little bit more difficult to read. Nonetheless, it didn't matter, and Kellen Benjamin and the Carolina Panthers defense 1 point apiece also didn't matter. Speaking of didn't matter, Mariota and Jordan Howard on the bench combined 44.5 points. Wouldn't have even helped because, let's be honest, every player besides Le'Veon Bell and Julio Jones had less than 4.5 points. Andy's team better get going, and it better get going in a hurry, or the season's going to pass him by. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Here we go. We're going to go stud of the week, dud of the week. Now, I like picking a stud of the week. That was in a winning effort because I feel that that's a better suited stud, but it was really, really tough to pass up Tom Brady. So this week we have co-studs of the week. Tom Brady, 46 points. That's some good stuff. It's not often you have one player score 46 and lose as Sid Hagen did, but then again, I think what we're seeing right now is a little bit of the ripple effect from the Jimmy situation, which I'm going to elaborate more in just a moment. The other co-stud of the week, Chris Thompson. Sunday night, going into that game, down 16. He comes up with 21. I win by 5. I move into the above 500 column, and my season going forward gets just a little bit easier. Dud of the week. This is easy. Your team lost by 2.5 points, Jason Witten. Where were you? Where were you? You scored a half a point. A half a point. Now, Sid Hagen, had you not fumbled with your jimmies, had you made the right assessment with regards to your jimmies, you would have had Jimmy Graham this week, who got 7.5 points. Jason Witten got a half point. Now, my Brower Mill math tells me that's a 7-point differential, and you lost by 2.5 points. You could have won, again, if my Browerville math holds up, by 4.5 points. What we're seeing now is what I'm going to call the Jimmy effect. And I'm going to track and log throughout the rest of the season just how Jimmy performs, as opposed to the non-2-bit loser, so you say, on your team. I have a feeling that how you handled your Jimmies back in week 2 is going to come up and bite you potentially later on. Also, we could throw in the DSM Award update along with the Jimmy effect. Adam Saltmarsh, not only for having Sammy Watkins on your bench and costing yourself a second potential win, but also for offering, then revoking quickly, a trade for Kareem Hunt in which you are going to give up picks 1 through 5. I'll say that again in case it's the end of the show and you aren't paying super close attention. That is correct. Adam Saltmarsh offered up a trade for Kareem Hunt 3 weeks into his career. Now, I understand the dude is otherworldly and is setting the bar so high and breaking so many records so early, but you were going to offer picks 1 through 5. Now, I know you once didn't have a pick till round 5. I know that you once left a draft about halfway through and still won the league. But come on, brother. Picks 1 through 5? Holy moly. Anyways, that wraps up the award segment for the week. Lastly, week 4 matchups, and the marquee matchup, the game of the week, is the 3-0 Pack Attack taking on the 2-1 Hulkamaniacs, the brother-in-law bowl. We only see each other once a year unless it's the playoffs, and we did do that once. We danced it in the Fantasy Bowl, which I won, of course, back in 2003. And when you win, boys and girls, they give you one of these. Anyways, that's the game of the week. Also, we have Phenomena 1 and 2 taking on the Architect at 2-1. Probably the next second best matchup are the people of Middle Spunk Creek at 2-1 taking on the T&B of Ryan D at 2-1 as well. Kramerica 2-1 taking on the winless Bazinga at 0-3, and another winless team, the Monkeys at 0-3 taking on Team Linkowitz. We are 3 weeks in. We have 10 weeks of regular season football, 3 weeks of the playoffs. We are just getting warmed up. Special guests are coming. Keep the fan mail rolling. I'm loving it. I'm glad you're watching. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm going to leave you with this, because I came to play, and play we did. Until next week, folks, host of the FTFL Weekly Update, Brett Sieber, signing off. We'll see you next time.